As always, very happy to be here in Brussels to be able to discuss with leaders of the European Union and fellow leaders from the Western Balkans about how we can move our region forward in what is a fundamental perspective of the countries of the Western Balkans in the European Union. I'm very happy that I represent a country that is at a 100% alignment with every foreign and security policy decision of the EU. And we will continue to do so in making sure that we jointly defend what are our collective values and values that stand at the very foundations of the European Union. I come here with a number of messages in representing the people of the Republic of Kosovo, primarily to call on EU leaders to immediately lift the unjust and unproportional measures against the Republic of Kosovo, which were taken because of the events in May. Kosovo has undertaken all of the measures to de-escalate the situation, and I believe that in return, now the European Union should deliver and lift those messages which in fact are hurting the people of Kosovo. Because we're talking about projects that have to deal with drinking water, waste management, projects that directly affect their lives. And I'm talking about all of our citizens, no matter their ethnicity. Secondly, of course, this summit is taking place at a time of great turmoils around the world. Therefore, peace and security, we believe, is fundamental in order for us to move on in discussing about growth, discussing about prosperity, and discussing about enlargement. Kosovo has been a victim of an act of aggression on the 24th of September of this year, where Serbia organized, orchestrated, and financed an attack against the Republic of Kosovo. We're still waiting for the European Union to adopt measures towards Serbia for this attack, because there must be accountability. And I think accountability and justice need to be the underlying principles of peace and security in the Western Balkans. And peace and security are always a precondition, as I said, for growth, for prosperity, and for enlargement. Finally, it's about time that Kosovo's European future is unlocked. Kosovo remains the only country out of the 6 Western Balkan countries without a candidate status. We've applied about a year ago, and it's about time that we move on with this process because we've already made great strides when it comes to not just meeting European criteria, but also reforms in rule of law and democracy, economy, and so on and so forth. And we're ready to do more. We just need to make sure that we are given a chance to walk on this path. There are, of course, a lot of other topics that we will be discussing with fellow leaders. And of course, I look forward to talking to you again once the meetings are finished.
Are you optimistic that there will be a sanctions package against Serbia soon?
So I'm not optimistic that anything would be adopted in the Council because, as you know, there are member states that would be blocking that. However, I think the Commission has a lot of potential to adopt such measures because the results of the investigation already show that this was state-sponsored terrorism. This was not a bunch of guys that took the arms that were produced in the factories, army factories of Serbia, but this was orchestrated, organized, and carried out by the state institutions of Serbia. And they are already given a lot of political support to these terrorists. So you can imagine if these weapons ended up in the hands of those terrorists, on the 24th of September, they were used in Kosovo. But after some time, they might end up through these terrorists in Brussels, in Paris, or somewhere else. So it's very important that we collectively fight these kind of attacks. So I do hope that more and more member states will take this very seriously, because as the White House has stated on the 24th of September, this was a plan to destabilize the entire Western Balkans. Deterrence and prevention is key in this respect.
You've been repeating this message of measures against Serbia because of that incident. I remember in Granada now as well. Do you feel like you're getting through, they are even listening and considering your cause?
All that I can tell you is that we will not get tired of repeating it, because we're talking about peace and security in the entire Western Balkans. These are very hard-won freedoms for all of us in the Western Balkans that were victims of genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity. We need to make sure that we defend and preserve these values, and we have to do that collectively with our European partners. Many of them have invested so much so that we can live in peace and stability. So this is about defending our collective success. It's not just about Kosovo. So we will continue to work with them for as long as it takes in order to make sure that we prevent and deter Serbia from attacking again. When I'm talking about measures, I want to be clear, I'm not talking about punishing. I'm talking about deterrence. And unfortunately, history has shown that that's the only language that Serbia understands. Without any measures, it's an invitation for them to attack again.
But what exactly are you calling for in terms of deterrence? What concrete terms?
Financial measures from the European Union. That's what Vučić would understand as a measure, and hopefully that would deter him from attacking again, because he would know that he can't get away with it. And secondly, when it comes to NATO, we're of course working very closely with NATO to continue to strengthen the security of the border between Kosovo and Serbia, so that there would be no arms smuggling any longer, and there would be no terrorists coming in with the little green men uniforms and with their armed vehicles, through which they've endangered not just the lives of our citizens and our men and women in uniform, but also they've endangered KFOR and ULEX staff.
What does it mean for the normalization process, and what does it mean for the future of Kosovo in the EU?
Kosovo is absolutely committed to the normalization process with Serbia, which is why on the 26th of October, Kosovo has offered to sign the agreement that was reached in Brussels, the annex that was reached in Ohrid, and all of the subsequent documents. Kosovo is showing all of its commitment as the constructive party in this dialogue process, and I will be, of course, once again today showing the commitment of the Republic of Kosovo for a full, swift, and unconditional implementation of the Brussels agreement and the Ohrid annex. However, as in any other dialogue process, this is a two-to-tango process. We also expect that the European Union will have a number of asks from Serbia as well, because the agreement is very clear. It requires, of course, Serbia also to implement a number of articles, primarily Article 4 of that agreement, which requires them to stop blocking Kosovo's membership in any international organization. So, of course, we're not running away from our obligations. We are fully committed to it, but it's a two-way street, so the other party needs to implement as well. Of course, that agreement, the Brussels agreement, also includes implementing all previous agreements. As you know, on the 21st of October, the special envoys have proposed a draft statute for Serb majority municipalities. Now that draft statute needs to go to Kosovo's constitutional court to check compliance with Kosovo's constitution. And of course, if it is in compliance with Kosovo's constitution, if it does not create a new layer of governance, if it does not put any dangers forward for a future Republika Srpska, of course, it will be implemented. And of course, those who have drafted it believe that it does not create any of these, but the Constitutional Court of Kosovo is the only body that can give that confirmation.